Hi and welcome to the final instalment from me, Nicola, from My Kind of Future, for your City and Guilds Team Challenge. And right at the offset, I want to say a huge well done to you and your team for getting this far. You have had 4 weeks of college tutor time and content information, which you now have hopefully put into one document. Today is really a bonus week, week 5, to help you get to grips with everything you've got to put together now for your final pitch, your final presentation. So what this instalment consists of is a recap of everything that you have done already and should have included in your final presentation, and also some tips on presentation skills. Now, for some of you, the thought of next week will be making you feel quite sick inside and really nervous. That's actually normal, so don't let that put you off. If that's how you feel, you can rest assured you are a normal person, but actually there are little things that we can all do to help improve with presentation skills. So before we get on to that, let me first of all go through the recap so we're all on the same page. I'm going to go through this at a fair pace to give us time to do the presentation tips and skills, so feel free to pause this video at any time if you want to make a note of anything if I'm going through too quickly. So week 5 is all about pitch perfect and getting this pitch together. So first of all, make sure you are on track with the brief. Don't forget what the brief is. You should have done all of these things as it says, and let's just focus on this for a second because it's good to check in and remind yourself why you're doing this. Why are you putting in all of this effort? What has it really been for? It is a competition, and you are going to be competing within your own college for a place in the grand final. There are other colleges competing as well for those sought after places, and so it's really important that you put everything into this final pitch and you don't leave anything out. Remember that we have not gone through this journey right alongside you, so we love to just give every group the benefit of the doubt, but actually if some teams have really gone all out to show us what they've done and to produce the work to back that up, then that will really stand them in good stead. So as a team, as an individual, make sure that you're now thinking, right, what can we do just to give us that real sort of cherry on top of everything we've already done. The amount you've produced already, no doubt, is fantastic. You should be really proud. If anything in you is thinking, oh, that's not us, it's not too late at all. This is why we've built this weekend, because there's so much information to take in. We wanted to give you just a week, sort out your own timings, gather up all the missing bits that you might need, and that will be different for every team as well. It's really important that the BBC in the grand final see the top presentations that we can produce from all of these Team Challenge entries. This opportunity is not to be sniffed at. The prize you'll be given from the BBC is going to be fantastic. We know from working with them that they're obviously a very professional company, but for you to be able to say on your CV and at interviews, actually I got all the way to the final on this challenge, or I was the winner from my college on this challenge with the BBC, or we were the overall winning team and we got to go have an insight day with the BBC. It was amazing, and I've no doubt that will be your response. Team as well will get to put this on their CV. Every team member will get to put that they've worked with City and Guilds on their team challenge, which is becoming more and more recognised as well. Another really fantastic talking point at interviews. But more than this, hopefully you have been taking note of the employability skills you've been learning along the way. You have been stretching your communication skills, you've been delegating, you've been goal setting, you've been taking responsibility, you've been contributing to your team. The list goes on and on and on, and these things are the things that should be on your CV as well, because now you've got the evidence to back it up. You can say, you know what, yeah, I'm a good listener, and I proved this when I was working on my City and Guilds team challenge, and we had a team discussion every week, and I found it really interesting to hear the other points of view from my team member. That's just one example, but I'm sure your college tutor will guide you on this as well, actually the ways that you've really stretched yourself and developed yourself as an individual. So, moving on. Week 1, this is your checklist, okay? I won't go through all of these, but I'll just leave the screen up for a moment so you can pause it if you need to take note of these. Let's move this out of the way as well, just so you can definitely see it. So this is week 1 checklist, which was looking at health and well-being. Week 2 was then looking at social responsibility. Week 3 was looking at equality and diversity. So I know it seems like a lot on that, but that was really the culmination of the weeks preceding it as well. Week 4, you looked at sustainability. So these 4 points should be covered in terms of work that you produced from that. Okay, so what is expected of you next week? Let's just remind you, you need to have already recorded a 5-minute video with your team's pitch. Now this needs to be a standalone video. It needs to have all the information in for why you've come up with your idea and what you are pitching really clearly to the BBC. They need to be able to watch that and have no questions left as to what you're offering, what your ideas are, what your USPs are, what your show will bring to the whole Olympic madness that's going to be taking over next year, why you're doing it. Okay, so these are the sorts of things that will be on your video. We need to know about the details of the show, so don't kind of get 4.5 minutes in and realise you haven't even told us what genre it is yet. We need to be able to form, from watching your 5-minute video, a really clear picture of what we'd be getting if we commissioned you as a TV production company. As well as that, you are also going to be doing a 10-minute presentation. Now, it's up to you if you next week want to do a presentation as a team and then finish with your 5-minute pitch, or maybe you want to kick off playing your video so it explains everything and then give us your live presentation. The live presentation is really your chance to stand up as a team and say, why have you come to the conclusion you did with your show? Why do you think it's such a great idea? Why do you think the BBC will respond really well to it? And how have you worked together as a team to make this happen? Have you overcome any challenges? And this is where we'd love it if you were honest. If you know that week 3 was a complete disaster for you because you could not stop arguing, then tell us, because obviously you've done something great between week 3 and week 5 to turn that around. We want to know that as a team you've overcome those difficulties, to stand together at the end of all of the 5-6 weeks and say, we are one team and this is our one idea. So you'll have lots to talk about. You'll need to talk about that with your team as well, and just make sure you've got everybody's ideas and contributions. And then the final part is the evidence of your work. So this is either a hard copy folder of all the research and ideas printed off and professionally presented. So maybe actually you want to use a bit of your allocated time this week to tidy up work that you've already done. Or you've got a PowerPoint presentation, and again you might want to use that. Maybe a couple of members of your team are working on the PowerPoint presentation, bringing everything together. You've got to make sure that they've got all the information they need to be able to do a really good job on that. Okay, so with all of that in mind, you've got some time now to film and fine-tune. I'm going to run through just a couple of tips to help you with that. Okay. So some top tips from me for filming. Some of you may have done things in front of camera before, some of you may not. I understand that it's nerve-wracking. Obviously I've been doing these short little videos for you. Hopefully you can draw some tips from me, but you'll also be able to pick out things that that I could work on more as well. There's nobody who's got this absolutely perfect, and everyone has their own way of doing things. But there are some blanket tips that you can use that will help you as a team not only feel more confident, but come across in a professional way. So tip number one, know what you're saying and in what order everybody is speaking. Don't just press record and hope for the best. You should actually write out for yourselves a list of what information you're going to include and who is talking about each bit of information. Practice at least twice before you record. There's a common misconception that, you know, these sorts of things, you can just wing it, you can wing it, but actually it comes through and people can see through that. Remember, you've only got this one shot to make this video the best it can be. So please practice, and remember, they'll be judged by people who know nothing about your idea before they watch it. So try and include as much of that information that's in your folder or on your PowerPoint presentation as possible within your video. By that I mean just telling us about it. Don't babble, keep it professional, keep it concise and to the point. And finally, point 5, how can you go the extra mile to make your team stand out? So this is down to the way that you do this. You can be creative. Maybe you want to open up with everybody's face in shot. Maybe actually you want to do different stills of your team. But this is about us seeing you on camera, so everybody has to be seen on camera, and everybody has to be heard on camera as well. So if that means for you, you don't want to be saying loads and loads, if that makes you feel quite nervous, then take a smaller section. Maybe someone else in your team could take more of the load if they're feeling more confident with it, but everybody needs to say something. Okay, so when it comes to speaking to camera, you almost need to forget that the camera is there. Choose somebody to film for you that you trust, that is not going to make you laugh, who's not going to distract you. It might be that actually your college tutor will be the best person to do that for you at a time when you decided that you're all ready. There are tips here of what to include in your live presentation. So just pause the video here and have a look at these if you haven't noted them down already. These again will be divided up between different team members, and everybody will speak in your live presentation as well. So think about how much you could challenge yourself to contribute to that. Some tips here. So have notes to help you remember what you're saying. As I've been doing these videos, I've been referencing the PowerPoint. It'd be really difficult if I was to speak non-stop for 10 minutes without having any notes in front of me. And you might want bullet points. You might actually want to write out word for word what you're going to say, whatever will best help you to feel ready for that presentation. So don't feel you've got to give yourself a huge challenge to do this. Be aware of fidgeting, slouching, folding your arms. As soon as you do this and you start scratching and playing with your hair, actually it becomes really distracting, and it can actually make you look less professional than you really are. No matter how good your work is, if you can't put across that you're confident, you can stand up straight and still, these things count for a lot. That will perhaps go against you if actually what they're seeing, what your college tutor's just seeing, is loads of people who look like they really don't want to be there. It might be that you really want to be there, but is your body showing us that as well? So help your team out with this, guide each other, give constructive criticism. I don't want to hear anyone sort of saying that's rubbish, that was rubbish, do it again. Help each other. People will be feeling nervous with this. Speak clearly, don't rush, and this is a really hard one, but add some pauses in. And if you've written out your notes, then I would write pause, just to remind yourself, just to take a couple of seconds so that everything is heard. If you go 10 to the dozen and never stop, then some of these amazing ideas will get lost, unfortunately. And remember to breathe. Support your team in the way that you practice. I'm sure by now you know each other well enough to be able to advise people on what will be helpful for them to hear. So think about your body, think about your voice, and think about what you're actually saying. I would say that's the order of importance. The first thing that gets people's attention is what they see, then it's what they hear, and then it's actually what am I taking away from this? What do I remember from the content of that presentation? All the best of luck to you. Keep that prize in mind and really sell your idea. Guys, you're doing so well. I really wish you the best of luck for your presentations next week.